The wind howled through the skeletal trees, carrying with it the whispers of the dead. Ethan stumbled forward, his breath coming in short gasps, his mind teetering on the edge of sanity. The shadows of Ravenshade stretched and twisted around him, closing in like grasping fingers. "You can't escape," a voice whispered from the darkness. Ethan turned sharply, but nothing was there. Only the eerie glow of the lantern in his hand, its flickering light barely pushing back the encroaching gloom. Beside him, Olivia walked in silence, her expression unreadable. The weight of their discoveries pressed down on them both. "This town, it's changing," Ethan murmured, his voice hoarse. "Or maybe we are." Olivia didn't respond. Instead, she stopped in front of an old iron gate, half buried in overgrown weeds. Beyond it lay a decrepit building, once grand, now crumbling with decay. The Ravenshade Orphanage. Ethan's stomach twisted. Memories stirred at the edges of his mind, flashes of laughter, fear, and something darker. He had been here before. "We need to go inside," Olivia said quietly. "There's something waiting for us." The gate groaned as Ethan pushed it open. The moment they stepped inside, the air thickened. The lantern flickered violently, shadows shifting unnaturally against the peeling wallpaper and broken furniture. The walls themselves seemed to breathe, inhaling and exhaling with an unseen force. A child's laughter rang through the hallways. Ethan froze. The sound was familiar, painfully so. His hands trembled as he raised the lantern, illuminating the hallway before them. At the far end, a small boy stood in the dim light, his back to them. "Ethan," Olivia whispered, "that's you." A chill ran down his spine. The boy turned slightly, and Ethan caught a glimpse of his own young face, eyes hollow, expression blank. The child raised a small hand and pointed toward a door at the end of the hall. Ethan swallowed hard and stepped forward. The door creaked open on its own, revealing a room frozen in time. Toys scattered across the floor, dust-coated beds lined up against the walls, a single rocking chair swaying back and forth as if someone had just left it. And then, in the center of the room, he saw her. A woman in a tattered black dress sat in the chair, her face obscured by a thick veil. Her hands rested on her lap, thin, bony fingers twitching slightly. The air grew colder. "You left us behind, Ethan," the woman whispered, her voice like the rustling of dead leaves. Ethan's chest tightened. "Who are you?" The woman lifted her head slightly. Though the veil remained, he could feel her gaze piercing through it, cutting into him like a knife. "You don't remember?" she murmured. "You will." The shadows around the room surged forward, swallowing everything. Ethan gasped as the floor disappeared beneath him, while his body plummeting into darkness. Voices echoed around him, children crying, whispers hissing in his ears. And then, a memory. He was a boy again, running through the orphanage halls, his breath ragged with fear. Someone was chasing him. He could hear the heavy footsteps behind him, the rasping breath of something unnatural. He reached a door at the end of the hallway and flung it open. A face greeted him. A woman's face, half decayed, eyes filled with something far worse than death. She reached for him, her skeletal fingers brushing against his cheek. Ethan gasped as he came back to the present, his knees hitting the cold floor of the orphanage room. His heart pounded wildly. He looked up, and the veiled woman was gone. Only Olivia stood there, watching him. "You remember, don't you?" she asked softly. Ethan nodded, his breath unsteady. I think I know why the town won't let me go." Outside, the wind picked up and the whispers of Ravenshade grew louder. The past was not done with him yet.